I've got an issue with this carburetor. Haven't run the KZ550 in a little while, and after I started it up, I noticed that cylinder number 1 was having some difficulty running at idle. Everything runs pretty good everywhere else, but it's just at idle. So I tried adjusting the air screw to see how that would impact the way it was idling. And when I turn the air screw all the way in, which should be full rich, I had nothing. And when I back it out just a hair, it tries to fire for a second, but then dies again. So I'm guessing that either the air is not getting all the way through the circuit, or more likely the fuel's not getting pulled into the circuit. So I'm going to pull this bank of carburetors off and check that circuit out and see what's going on. Around our snug. Okay, so sitting on the bike like this, my problem was this farthest right carburetor. So we'll pull that guy apart. So we've got air screw. It looks like it intersects with this passage. That would just come through our pilot jet. So let's see how that looks. So the pilot jet was clear. So it could be our passage. Well, that was clear also. Might as well check the main while we got it out. The motion tube and all that good stuff. Well, that looks good. '92 main jet. Okay, I've got it figured out now, I think. Anyways, so here's my air circuit. Air goes in here, and that, I suppose, allows low pressure to pick up fuel from here, and then this guy goes up and comes out in a hole right here in front. And all those passages were clear. So I'm guessing my float level was set too low. And that's why I was having trouble with the pilot jet not picking up fuel, not feeding the idle circuit. So I'll start putting this back together and do a float adjustment. See what I get out of that. I'm pretty sure I had lowered the float level on these before because I had an issue with some flooding. That could be, I think I've got new needles and seats in there, relatively. It does look a little high, so I think I'll go ahead and just bend that tab. I'm sure there's a setting somewhere for the float level, but couldn't tell you what it is offhand. A lot of the times it usually seems like it's got to be pretty close to about there. Alright, so I just looked up the float adjustment on a TK22, and it's supposed to be 18 millimeters to the parting line on the mold. think I'm off by a little bit. It's going to be 10, 20. Oof. Yeah, I'm off by about 6 or 7 millimeters. So that would make sense that 6 or 7 millimeters could be the difference of not having fuel in the pilot circuit. So maybe it wasn't a stuck float like I was kind of thinking earlier. Maybe it was just a improperly adjusted float by a guy that wasn't paying attention. Okay, so that's sitting at right about 19. I'll put that back together and see what that does. I'll go ahead and set this one at about a half a turn out from seated. Just for the initial setup to see how it does. Okay, well, we'll throw this back on the bike and see what happens now. Kind of silly for missing that. It looks like there's a bit of a split on the intake boot there. So we'll pull this guy back off and see if some gas can make it go work on that.